right, hit it, Jamie.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's segment of the True Crime episode. So welcome, folks. Sit back, listen, crack open up a cold one, and remember, if you do the crime, you have to do the time.
Unless you can get into a diversion program. Jamie, you were...
Oh, my God.
Jamie, you were going to mention, this is a palate cleanser, but you were going to mention an individual that we were discussing in Tailgate Update today.
Yes, I do. This week's segment is on Memphis Grizzlies' $200 million man and very troubled but talented superstar in Memphis player Ja Morant. He was the number 2 pick in the 2019 NBA draft, 1 pick behind Zion Williamson, who went number 1 to the New Orleans Pelicans. And ironically, we're going to be talking about how he got hurt, a season-ending shoulder injury against Zion and the Pelicans. But in this program, this is about some of his crazy antiques that he's been going on recently, starting back in March or April, or started after the NBA Finals when he apparently pulled out at a Colorado nightclub. This was the first time he did it, 1 or 2 times, and they basically the league basically said, okay, you're gonna have to go to NBA counseling to get your head clear, right? And so he did. He apparently got the help, but then the following week later, he pulled out again on a 17-year-old boy that he was playing pickup with. And after that, they couldn't really find any ways to discipline him. So they basically said he was going to be suspended for the first 25 games of the 2023 NBA season. To me, I think most of his problems are kind of mental, because that's what usually happens in a lot of cases that involve sometimes your head isn't in the right place, especially after he lost the NBA Finals. And I'm not condoning what he did, but it's clear to me that he needs more help than that. So what do you guys think? Ryan, you want to add to this?
I think Ja he needs to get the help that has been offered to him, or is available. He's clearly troubled. I don't know if it's mentally or just in general of being in that spotlight of being the superstar in Memphis. Yeah, he just needs to reach out, get the help that he needs to get back on track.
Yeah, get those psychotherapy sessions in, because we don't need to hear about him in true crime in a more serious way. Because things tend to escalate around here. So if we can avoid that, that would be great.
Yeah, and especially because he's one of the few rising stars now in today's NBA where they don't really market their superstars, the NBA, as much. And the era of the in-season tournament and ratings not doing as well, the product not being as well. He needs to be able to keep the NBA going and keep it going in this era. And also, they've also got other problems as well. Like Adam Silver just re-signed his contract to a 10-year extension as a commissioner of the NBA. And he needs to be able to be there to talk about their next media rights group, which is going to be $1 billion TV rights deal for the next few years in the league. And hopefully that'll help get the ratings up as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Jamie. Thank you for reminding us. It's a ripple in a pond, crimes are. It impacts a lot of different people in ways you wouldn't expect. So, yes, absolutely. So we got some chickens, a cat, and a dog. Very cute. Okay. So y'all probably heard about the 3 Kansas City Chiefs fans found dead. This is probably a bad time to say that it was before the Bills Mafia struck, so it wasn't them. because it was January 7th. Although, Jamie, what's your take on like everybody threatening Tyler Bass like that?
Oh,
It's not all of Bill's Mafia. It's a
Of
few.
course not. It's only a
It,
few, or
yeah, it's a few. It's a few fans that are basically they're jealous of them and they really aren't really part of the NFL circle. They're loud and vocal when they don't need to be. And he's a kicker. He's still one of the best kickers in the league. And kickers nowadays are really hard to find in
Mhm.
today's NFL. And I think they should keep him. And you saw Josh Allen being the leader. Josh Allen, thank you, buddy. You're my quarterback for that. For sticking up for Bass and picking up when he's down. And how about the good Bills Mafia fans starting to go a fundraiser page for him too? So
Oh, that's
yeah,
sweet.
I think it's classless to rip on a guy like that. Now I was upset that he missed the field goal, like obviously on Sunday, but I was just crying and in tears and going nuts. I didn't go and I would never go and post something like that on social media. And Tyler Bass, if you're listening, man, hang in there, buddy. You're still one of the best. You're still one of the best kickers in the league. I've got your support. Bills Mafia's got your support. Josh Allen's got your support, and we know that we're gonna have to call upon you again. And who knows, maybe in this if we go to the Super Bowl, you kick the game-winning field goal and you make up for it in the next few years. So there's always a positive outlook looking forward.
Yeah. D- Well done. Well said. Uh, yeah, so I wrote an article about this on the forkball.com, so you'll have to go there to get the full scoop, okay? But Ricky Johnson, Clayton McGeeney, and David Harrington were at a friend's home in Kansas City, Missouri to watch the Chiefs game against the Chargers on January 7th, and none of them made it home. McGeeney's fiance went to the home looking for him at Jordan Willis, looking for the three guys at Jordan Willis's house, the man who had the home where they were found outside of. And she ended up beating on the door, and then she found a body after breaking into the house and then looking out the back porch. And so there's these three gentlemen here were found in the backyard. It's not clear how or why. And there's one friend who lived through it all and has a very suspicious change of stories. So we'll just have to, we're keeping an eye on this one, a close eye, and we'll let you know any updates that come up. But to get the full scoop, look at my article here on the forkball.com. Yeah, super tragic. Can y'all imagine, like, just like it's so bizarre to have three healthy men in their 30s like end up in the backyard like of their friend's home, like frozen. Because it's like what would happen to all three if it wasn't foul arm? Because like, you know, if one of them was on a bad trip or something, not that I'm implying that they were, but if one of them, you know, had something going on, it wouldn't have been all three. So yeah, we'll be keeping an eye on it. We hope the families find justice. So
Yeah, but do we know if there was any alcohol in any of these three gentlemen's systems and that like that could have played to it, or we don't know about that?
yeah, they haven't released the toxicology reports yet. But again, you would have to ask, would all three be so drunk that they would end up frozen in the backyard? Like, look, we've all had our crazy party days, but none of them ended up frozen in a backyard for the most part. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But yeah, once we find out that, we'll definitely be talking about what they find. So we got Ayoma Uazoric here. He's on the hot seat because he has been suspended indefinitely by the NFL. However, the Iowa Department of Public Safety released the information this week following a lengthy investigation, and has led a criminal charge against 7 athletes, including Ioma here. Yeah, let me see here. And the criminal complaint showed that the defensive end made a total of 32 bets on the Broncos over a period of 5 games in 2022, including a game that he played in. And he's a part of the Iowa Pro because he made 2 bets on the Cyclones during his time at the school as well. So, yeah, he placed the 3 bets on the games on the 2022 season, and after that, he took 2 months off before placing bets on 2 December games. In week 14 and 15, he made a total of 801 bets worth roughly 21,000 from his FanDuel account, which he had under a different name. So, he's now facing a charge of tampering with records for knowingly and intentionally falsifying personal electric sports wagering records by concealing his personal identity. So he catches an extra charge for lying about his name on the account. Yeah, so interesting. We'll have to keep up with this. There's 7 athletes who are on the hot seat, and Iowa's not playing around. There's seven people being charged, and this guy bet on games he played in, which we all know is the no-go. And then even like Sean Payton tried to have his back on this, which like I'm never gonna knock a coach for trying to be supportive. Usually I won't, but this one's kind of a stretch because I think most people can understand, even with a gambling policy that seems a bit confusing, that gambling and games that you're in are never going to work. That's never going to be okay. So, yeah, we'll keep an eye.
Gotta be a certain kind of
what?
certain kind of dummy to bet on games that you're playing in.
Okay, I get when people were confused about like they can't make any bets on the property anywhere on any team. Like that's kind of confusing, but I think we all understand that you can't bet in a game you're in. But
Right.
what are you gonna do?
That.
Yeah. Will Smith. I don't know if y'all remember him. He was on the team during the 2010 Super Bowl win, and he led the team in their winning season in 2006, a winning record, which for the Saints was a big deal at the time because we all know their history. So, let's see here.
I can attest to that history because one of their coaches was a Bills coach, was the head coach of the Bills before that infamous moment. Greg Williams.
So Will Smith is a bit of a blast from the past here, but true Saints fans will remember him. And they'll also remember that Cardell Hayes was convicted of manslaughter in the death of this guy in December of 2016, and was acquitted of any charges related to him shooting or injuring Will Smith's wife. So Hayes' initial sentence was thrown out, the December 2016 sentence, when the U.S. Supreme Court outlawed non-unanimous verdicts, because the jury originally was 10-2 for guilty. After he served 4 out of his 25-year sentences, he got out, but he was recharged. It took forever because the jury just came in yesterday. And they found him guilty. So, he is now going back into the slam for the same manslaughter charge. There was a little bit of controversy because Hayes said that it was self-defense and that he was worried that he alleged on the 911 call that Smith said he was going to go back to his car and get a firearm. However, as the district attorney pointed out, it was one by one man. Darn it. Um, and he hit Smith 8 times. He 7 in the back, and he also hit Smith's wife in the legs. So 8 times is what we would call overkill. Yeah, so he alleged he got him out of the car, but he doesn't have, there's no evidence that he was going for the gun. And in the 911 call, I believe they overheard Will Smith's Will Smith's wife saying, you don't like calming him down, saying, calm down, it's not worth it. And apparently, Raquel Smith, her efforts to diffuse the argument were working. And he was sort of like ready to, they got into a car accident, in case you're wondering what started this all. And so he was sort of ready to, move on when Hayes opened fire. So most people were like, it's not exactly self-defense when he's not going for a firearm in the car and he's like chill and you come in and shoot them 8 times. So now Smith was intoxicated at the time of the incident, according to toxicology reports. So they were thinking maybe he was a bit belligerent, but they ended up charging him anyway. I think he's facing up to 50 years for this. And a lot of people are feeling vindicated. I've seen it in Saints community groups that they're feeling a bit vindicated that he finally got the justice that he deserves. Because he left behind his wife Raquel and their 3 children. And Hayes is leaving behind 1 child, which is always sad, but it is what it is. You can't open fire on people. So yeah, just like a resolution on a case that happened a very long time ago with a very big Saints player, but it's been a while, so maybe not everybody's kept up with this, but a lot of people are really glad that his murderer is behind bars. So there we go. So we got some fun here. Chandler Jones and Antonio Brown are planning on hosting a podcast called CTE SPN, where they aim to prove that CTE is not real. And I just
Taylor Jones surprised me when he went haywire in Oga, because I remember like he was well mannered at Syracuse. He was a hard worker. He was like academically, he's actually very smart. Like he was very smart academically. So he got drafted in the first round of the Patriots. He never seemed to. It's weird. It was like Antonio Brown. He never caught. Who we're going to talk about. They never really had any issues until later in their career.
Yeah, CT comes at you fast, but having these 2 guys try to convince us that it doesn't exist is like the worst campaign for this ever. But if they have a podcast, we'll definitely follow it.
We'll have to listen to the context of it, because maybe he was being over dramatic when he said it doesn't exist. He probably meant it as it's being overblown, not literally. He chose the wrong words.
Could be. And Antonio Brown seems to believe it exists because he has like CT Sundays, so it's kind of confusing, but I'm definitely willing to follow their journey. And they have some controversial plans for this podcast that are not probably racially sensitive enough for me to say at this time. So we'll get into that later. So
and Sergio Brown was a former Buffalo Bill.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, in the meantime, Jones was a guest on the latest episode of the Jackson podcast, which was released on Saturday. During the interview, Jones showed off a tattoo that he has on his right forearm. The tattoo says the name, oh boy. Her last name is Chilombo. She's a R&B a singer and writer. And he said that Chilombo is his spiritual wife, even though he's never met or communicated with her. Even besides that, he felt he had a strong enough connection to her that he should get a tattoo of her name on his right arm. Chilombo has been dating rapper Big Sean for quite some time, and they have a child together. And Jones knows that, but he still considers Shaloba to be a spiritual wife, whatever that means. So there we go. He's also made some really great financial decisions lately. He got a $1 million diamond chain with 300 diamond carats on this thing. And he also this is so fascinating to me. He also purchased multiple diamond Jesus pieces done by Raffaello and Co.'s Gabriel Jacobs, who's done pieces for Damar Hamlin and Little Yachty. And it's literally like Jesus on a chain, like his head. And so he has a black one that has 55 carats of black quality diamonds with a chain that held 80 carats of black diamond pearls, and he had a rose gold one, and he had a canary yellow Jesus chain. So super inspiring life that he's living. Yeah, we like to discuss his bad decisions from time to time because it seems like it's a bit of a ticking time bomb. So anyway, Caleb Farley here. Kind of catching up with Caleb. He's gone through a lot. So he lost his mother to breast cancer in 2018. And we discussed his father dying in a natural gas lake fire over the summer of 2023. That right there is a lot. And so in addition, Farley has only played 12 games since being drafted in 2021 due to ACL tear and back problems that have lingered. He was able to participate a little bit in the last the 2023 season, and he had a back surgery in 2022. He says his back is fine, but apparently there's some nerve in his back that gets pinched or something that makes one of his legs weaken up, and so like that's the impact that it has, and it's kind of like off and on, so it's kind of confusing, but it's not just back pain, it's like actual leg impairment, so that's kind of interesting. Next year's the last year of Farley's contract with the Tennessee Titans, and hopefully the football gods will look positively upon him in 2024. Farley's faith is what's kept him on the straight and narrow and remained off this roster for anything worse. And so keep praying, buddy. And I cannot even imagine. He's like Job in the Bible or something. He just can't catch a break. And Sergio Brown, our little update on him is he's heading into court on Wednesday, and his trial is ramping up, even though he pled not guilty to murdering his mom, Myrtle. So he says no, but we're jumping right into the trial, so we'll be monitoring. He's really not guilty. It doesn't look good. All right, so Dale Mooney here. Y'all know he's the fan who passed away at the Foxborough Stadium earlier on this season when he got into an altercation with some Miami Dolphins fans, and apparently he had an underlying health condition, but the impact of the stress and probably the pain associated with getting clocked in the head like set his heart rhythm off, and it ended up ending his life. So 2 men are being tried for this. And Justin Mitchell, 39, pleaded not guilty in the charges that he's facing last Friday related to his death. And he has no return to court date currently. So both men who are being charged with this are saying not guilty. So we will see if it works out. But it's just a good reminder, it's always a good reminder that it is never worth life or death for football fans. Not for Tyler Bass, not for the people who hurt Dale Mooney. It's never a life or death matter off the field. It really probably shouldn't be one on the field either, but definitely not for fans. So Ryan, you excited to see your favorite Mel Tucker again? I know you're really excited to hear this. He's never working at MSU again. The university's terminated Mel Tucker, and he's ended all affiliation with the university, include prohibiting him from being hired at MSU again in the future, which I don't think he was ever thinking
Help
of.
your mother get in.
But here we are. And it's kind of amazing because we haven't really talked about this before, but it terminated Tucker in September after he breached his historic 10-year, $95 million contract extension that made him one of the highest paid football coaches in the country and the highest paid black coach in all of American sports. And he lost all of that because he breached his contract's moral turpitude clause, i.e., essaying a woman. So on the phone, we've gone into that. He was a little. He did some things she didn't want to happen. So well, yeah, mostly virtually, but still. So he lost a 10-year, $95 million contract extension. That's crazy. So no more Mel Tucker. So we talked about Kevin Hart. He's the one who he let us know this week that he is back in track after his racing incident and that the injury was a minor setback. And something he hears that is not uncommon for an action star, although most action stars do not end up in a wheelchair because they raced a former NFL player, but we'll just let him have that. And while we're finishing that story, I have a video of the race itself. Okay, no. Okay, y'all ready for this? Yeah, this is the race that put Kevin Hart in a wheelchair.
Come on, Connie.
Oh, he smoked your ass. Give me that plan.
Let's go!
It wasn't even long. That one
How
was.
did he get put in a wheelchair? He didn't fall or anything.
Yeah, he pulled enough muscles that
Oh.
yeah, he actually ended up being wheelchair bound for a period of time.
Were you really watching how to knit on YouTube?
Yeah, I have a confusing knit stitch that I'm trying to perfect. Okay. The SSK in case any knitters out there are watching. So the NHL's in some hot water right now, the Canadian junior hockey team scandal. 5 players who were on the 2018 Canada World Junior Ice Hockey men's team were granted indefinite leaves of absence from the current NHL teams in the past week, amid a report of a SA investigation. The 2018 Canada World Juniors team was connected to an SA investigation in 2022, in which 8 players were accused of actually boozing and assaulting a 20-year-old Ontario native. And a spokesperson for the Ministry of the Attorney General said that no SA charges have been filed in the court, adding that police have until the day of the first court appearance to file. So more information will be available on the February 5th news conference, but some NHL fans are going down, or players are going down. There's been 5 so far suspended that they believe is related to this case, although they haven't officially said that. And so we'll just keep an eye and hear a little bit more about what's going on, because there's not a whole lot of information about this. But if you suddenly see your favorite NHL player gone indefinitely, that's where he's at. Maybe. Possibly. All right.
Most definitely.
Yeah, I mean, like, he also could be with Corey Perry in their program, but like either way, like, so former NHL player John Scott had come out earlier last week alleging that Perry was dropped by the Blackhawks for flirting with an NBC staff member while intoxicated on a road trip with the team in Columbus. Scott was quoted as saying he made a mistake in Columbus one night. He drank too much and he made a pass at a staff member who worked for NBC. So Scott, if you heard this rumor, Scott later denied the headline-making claim in a last Wednesday on a Twitter X post, calling his original remark unfounded and not true. And he says he's going to be more careful with his reporting in the future. And in the meantime, Perry made his debut with the Edmonton Oilers on Saturday, January 27th, which I imagine we'll be talking about that team a little bit more in the tailgate update. And then Adam Johnson here, the senior coroner at Sheffield Coroner's Court. It's a different system over there, you know. Reviewed evidence regarding the death of Adam Johnson, and the inquest regarding Johnson's death is suspended until July, and nobody will be charged. So they had charged Matt Petgrave with manslaughter, I believe, but that's all on hold until they do some more investigating. So we'll be looking into that. This one was tragic. Jackie Robinson, his statue got stolen. And a prize statue of Jackie Robinson in Wichita, Kansas was stolen from a park this last Thursday. A surveillance video shows two individuals hauling his statue away in the dark. For whatever reason, they stole the statue from the ankles up because Robinson's feet remained where the entire statue once was. It was just his shoes and his ankles. So there's $2,500 in awards for any tips leading to the arrest of individuals, and $5,000 if the statue is found. Yeah, if you have any credible tips, call the detectives at 316-268-4407. The See Something Say Something hotline at 316-519-2282. Or Crime Stoppers at 316-267-2111. And callers can remain anonymous with Crime Stoppers. And money has already been fundraised to replace the statue, at least $10,000. So, and it just happened. And there was a kid who was giving his allowance. It was like $2, and he's like, "I want my Jackie Robinson statue back." It was so cute. Anyway. The audacity. So Wander Franco here. As we're talking about audacity, he had the audacity to post a video on Instagram showing him practicing some swings. Like showing that he's still practicing in the DR.
Well, he might need to. You might need to keep practicing because he's gonna be playing in the Dominican Penal League, so.
Right. Yeah.
Well, he's going to have to keep practicing his swings because he had a big mess on this one.
Yeah.
Oh, Jamie.
He needs to find himself in the slam, so he might need to be able to.
He struck out on this one.
I don't know if he struck it. He might have got beamed with a fastball on this one.
So, to which I say, no one cares, Wander. Nobody cares. Scott Erickson here. So we've been talking about this last week, and the trial just started on last Friday. So we'll be talking about what happened. So Rebecca Grossman, his former lover, is charged with second-degree murder over in September 29th, 2022, in a crash that killed Jacob Iskander, 8 years old, and his brother Mark, 11. What happened was they were having a couple of drinks over the afternoon, and they were racing through a residential area. Scott was in front, and he was going like 80 or 90 miles per hour, something around there, and she was right behind him. And he was able to swerve out of the way and not hit the kids, but Rebecca was behind him, and she was unable to avoid them. So 2 kids their lives were taken, and so right now she's in court for that. Yes. So Grossman's defense is really on one here. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but even this doesn't quite make a lot of sense to me. In their opening statement, they said they intend to show that it was Erickson who was driving the vehicle in the front at the time of the crash after the lunch, and that it was him who hit and killed the boys. Grossman's lawyer, Tony Busby, infuriated the prosecutors by telling the jury that Erickson was found hiding in the bushes after the crash. A detail which prosecutors said was unknown to them. Yeah, at the end of the session, the jury left for the day, and prosecutors then turned on Busby, demanding the judge punish him for introducing new evidence. Can't do that. Yeah, they were furious at Busby for mentioning some details which they had agreed would not be revealed. Yeah, let me see here. And Busby called the police investigation into the accident absolutely terrible and added that there is nowhere near enough evidence to convict Grossman. So anyway, it's unclear if he's gonna get like any kind of reprimand in the court, but it probably won't really matter other than jury being told to like disregard that. But her defense attorney, Busby, argued that the Westlake Village crosswalk where the boys were killed is dangerous and improperly marked. I'm like, you have to really be on one to blame the intersection and the crosswalk that these boys and their mother with their younger brother were on to like somehow justify this happening. He also asserted that Mark and Jacob were not actually at the crosswalk, but 50 feet north of it when they were struck. Like, that matters. Anyway, he refuted the prosecution's claim that Grossman tried to flee the scene. And Busby said that the witnesses would tell of hearing 2 impacts. Adding that the prosecutor suggesting that one vehicle did that scientifically is impossible, which is confusing to me because he's saying that both Erickson and Grossman hit the boys, but then he's saying his argument is that Scott did it, and now he's saying, oh, not one, just one car could do it. So he's saying both of them are guilty. Like, it's pretty confusing. Like, he's okay with it being one car's fault as long as it's not his client's. And there's huge dents on the front of her Rebecca's car. And it's like, oh yeah, that just kind of happened anyway. So we'll be following this case, but her defense attorney is really on one, and I just can't imagine arguing about the murder of 2 young boys. Like, even if she wasn't, man, if she was guilty, like, I can't imagine the kind of audacity it would take to imply that you weren't, knowing that you took 2 young boys' lives. But anyways,
The audacity.
yeah, that's something we have a lot of in this segment.
Oh God.
So Mikey Williams,
Draymond.
I thought this was hilarious. So he moved on to UCF despite Memphis going out on a limb for him during his trial. If you can remember, after signing with Memphis in the 2023 class, Williams was arrested last spring following a March 27 incident at his home. He was shooting a firearm at a car full of people who had left as residents. I believe there's like 6 or 7 people in the car, and he faced 9 felony counts in the case. But he pleaded guilty in November to a lesser felony charge, making criminal threats, because as he was shooting 9 times into the car full of people, he was also threatening them. So, yeah. So the team had his back. And the university is working on helping him enter into the men's basketball program again. But he said, I'm out, even though as we remember, Memphis really went on a little campaign to have his back, even though he had 9 felony counts. So it's ironic that as soon as it was over, he's like, deuces, and is moving on to UCF. So it just goes to show that you look like a tool, Memphis. That's just what it shows.
Syracuse offered this kid way before he did all this stuff.
Yeah.
Last offseason.
Yeah, he's really great apparently, which is why Memphis was willing to overlook all these felony charges.
Because he was a 4-star recruit at the time. That's why.
Yeah. Yeah, they had his back, but then like even after supporting him through that whole time and getting crap for it, he decided to leave anyway. So definitely left some egg on their face. Draymond Green, his antics have penalized him in a way the NBA never did because he'll not be allowed to play in the Olympics team and he can't go for his third consecutive gold medal. So
I'm
You
surprised
mean
that they're actually punishing him because he's got the right name tag. His name's Draymond Green.
yeah,
you mean to tell me he can't be carried to his third straight gold medal?
Or
I-
actually be held the regular standards.
I was surprised
Mhm.
because the NBA was like, we're gonna fire or he's gonna be suspended indefinitely, i.e., like 3 weeks of therapy. And then, like, so it was like no consequences. But then, like, being banned from the Olympics is pretty major. So,
But I mean, the stuff he was especially the stuff he was doing, like even if you are Draymond Green, Adam Silver basically said enough's enough because he was doing this constantly, like physically getting into uh altercations and fights that were leading to serious punches and everything like that, and bodies being thrown and
he got like suspended like
injured.
3 times in a row this season or something like that. We covered that before, but he choked out that one guy. Like he was just like he was really on one. And so he's definitely feeling the full consequences of his actions. And unlike a lot of the people in this roster that we have who seem to like slip out of any accountability quite easily. So life comes at you fast, Draymond. Okay.
Yeah,
So
but luckily he's still got his podcast, so he won't have to worry about it when he's out of the league because he still does his own podcast.
yeah, I mean, he has nothing to worry about in terms of like his like he's a great player. He won't be forgotten about it. People have said we won't come to the team unless he's still on it, like draft people, like people
Yeah.
love him, and so like that's not the issue. But
I think the word great is being overused in this one, Julie.
whatever. Like that's
Yeah, I can see what you're saying, right? He's basically a product of Curry and Klay Thompson.
He's the goon in the group project that gets an A but does little work.
look,
Right.
I'm not arguing with you because I don't know enough about basketball or Draymond to make a firm argument about this. I am just talking about his problematic behaviors, and I know that he has a legacy of sorts. He is not going to be financially hard up or
No.
able to find anything after he leaves the NBA, especially since, like you said, Jamie, he's building his brand online. So that's not so much the issue, but he's got some gray in his beard, so he might not have too many more shots at the Olympics. So this one, ooh, okay. So Kevin Porter Jr. here, this treat of a person. As a refresher, he pled guilty to a misdemeanor assault and a harassment violation in connection with an incident last September at a hotel because he attacked his girlfriend, leaving her covered in the red stuff with a deep cut above her right eye. And she's like, no, that was a false narrative, and accusing the prosecutors of a false narrative. It's like, oh, so you cut your own eye and got the red stuff all over you. But anyway, abuse victims will often say a lot of things while they're trying to justify in their minds what's happening to them because it's really hard to leave. So I'm not going to blame her for saying dumb things. But anyway, New York, as we discussed last week, New York was planning on offering Kevin Porter Jr. a plea deal. And he took it since then. So under the agreement, Porter has to complete a 26-week abusive partner intervention program or an equivalent program with a private counselor. And he also must abide by limited order of protection, so a restraining order, and attend all the court dates and not get arrested for anything else. And if he complies, he'll be able to withdraw his assault plea in a year and will be sentenced at that time at time served for non-criminal pay harassment counts. So basically clearing his criminal record. So he's got to do this. We've had several of these now where they plead out on these lesser charges or go into diversion programs. So we have yet another one. So 26 weeks is a long time for counseling related to like violence. So that's great. But yeah, he can't get arrested again. He can't be around her, and he has to go to all his court dates. So we will keep an eye and see if Kevin Porter Jr. can keep it clean for a whole year, or if that's not going to work. In fact, we have a couple people who are on similar charges, and we'll just have to see if they can actually keep their nose clean for that long. So who knows? So our last story is on Dejan Milojevic. As we know, he passed away not this Wednesday, but the Wednesday before that, January 17th, of a heart attack at a team dinner. He had the heart attack at the team dinner and then later passed away in the hospital, but he was young and it was super tragic and unexpected, of course. So there was a lovely video tribute for Dejan on Wednesday night before the Golden State Warriors and Atlanta Hawks game. And the Serbian national anthem was played in his honor. And even Draymond cried over it. And during warm-ups, each Warrior put a Milojevic jersey on the back of his coaching chair. And then a black t-shirt was also draped over the chair with the word brate on it. And that's the Serbian word for brother, which the coach called everybody. And Steve Kerr spoke regarding Dejan's legacy, and his wife held a gifted bouquet of flowers with her children during a prolonged standing ovation. It was very sweet. The Warriors did not practice until the following Monday, past Monday, following the death. So like 5 days of no activity. People are wearing patches with a heart with his initials inside, and they also have that on the logo on the team's home court. And because we can't have anything nice, and this is a true crime segment, we're going to talk about the fact that a fan attempted to steal the Brate shirt and a white rose that was on the chair at the end of the game. He balled up the shirt and the rose, apparently, and attempted to put it under his jacket. A member of the media was taking photos of him, and the fan stopped and posed with a smile while stealing the shirt. Security did intercept the fan. And it's unclear, like, they said things are being handled internally, so we don't know if he was internally, so we don't know what's going to happen. But other fans at the event are calling for a perma ban on this fan. So that's how we end a really sweet tribute. Because true crime, we can't have nice things. So that is our roundup for the week for true crime. So make sure to like, subscribe, comment, let us know what you think. And we will see you next week.